Welcome to Casual Swinger. If you're under 18, the following podcast is not appropriate for you. The subjects and language are for mature audiences only. If you're not mature in nature, just make sure you're old enough to vote. We don't take ourselves seriously, ever. No guarantee is given regarding the accuracy of any opinions or statements made on this podcast, our website, or our blog. It's all in fun, folks. This isn't Dr. Phil. Now, consider yourself, the listener, properly advised.
Welcome back, everybody, to Casual Swinger. My name is Mickey.
And I'm Mallory.
And welcome back for part 2 of a 3-part series for a living history of Hedonism II. This is the Winds of Change.
Winds of Change.
I feel like I should sing The Winds of Change. I know you just said it like
feels like an Emily Bronte novel, like title, or...
We need Morgan Freeman. Where's Morgan Freeman when you need him?
Morgan Freeman?
I think his voice makes everything
He's
cooler.
literally the narrator of my life.
Is he?
Yes, in my head. Yeah.
Well, I just feel like he would get upset every time he had to narrate me masturbating.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be a short narration. I mean, it's always a race. It's like a sprint, not a marathon.
I would enjoy listening to that, though.
I think the thing that takes the longest when you masturbate is looking for good porn. You're like, you start to whack off, and then you're like, oh, no, not it. Oh, no, not it. Oh, no.
Something like unexpected happens, and you're like, oh, shit.
Oh, I didn't know what they were going to use the cup for.
Yeah. Oh, God. Anyways, so no segment this week again, as we go into this living history part 2, Winds of Change. And this one features a gentleman that is widely credited with saving the resort.
Yeah, this episode is a big deal. This episode's a big deal because, number one, the Winds of Change, we're talking about what happened at the resort when things went south. Right?
Yeah, and
the food
really
was getting
did.
bad. The resort wasn't happy. People weren't getting paid.
It was falling apart.
We're talking about like circa 2001. Things were not good.
Mm-mm.
Things were definitely not good.
Dire.
And there was a group that had established itself above and beyond all others as the group to go with. And we're talking about a group called the Fluffernutters. Fluffernutters are run by a guy named John Gross. They were founded by he and his wife, Janet. And matter of fact, we went on our honeymoon trip with them.
That is true.
Which is where we met Jim and Rachel.
Correct.
And a lot of things changed for us. So it's we got a lot of love for the Fluffs. We really do. And interestingly enough, in the last episode that we recorded this week with Howard, was he talked about John. He talked about the extras that they provide, and what are we talking about? A big difference between Hedo and Desire. Is Desire is what it is, right? The resort itself is a high-end hotel that offers an experience for people, and the service is beyond question, right? Beyond reproach. But when we talk about Hedo, the experience is the people. People talk about the people all the time.
Very much so.
And the food's great, all right? And the resort experience itself, the hotel rooms are not remotely as nice as Desire, from what I'm told.
No, but they're not nearly as bad as what they used to be.
Nearly as bad as they used to be.
Ooh.
And that's the point of this episode.
Yeah.
So back in the day, when everything went south, there was a guy who said, this place means so much to the people that means so much to me. We can't let this thing fail. We can't let this thing go. And you know what? He also saw a business opportunity. He saw a business opportunity. He saw an opportunity to serve his customers and to serve his friends. And what they did is they bought the resort. So he
brought
go ahead.
Someone's.
Yeah, he bought many someones. Yeah, he brought the
table.
ownership group together.
Yeah.
That ended up buying Hedo from Super Clubs and then invested millions.
Tens of millions of dollars into this resort. And every time we go back, we're in awe of
something new.
It's like a re-evolution.
It is.
And the spirit of the resort is only enhanced by these things.
Yeah, and so we're releasing 2 episodes back to back. This is a Wednesday and a Thursday release. We've never done this before. And, I think it's important to cover this history for you guys. I think it's important to talk about all the things that are different. And we're going to talk in the third piece and the final piece of this living history of Hedo. That final piece will be with Harry Lang, where we'll talk about some of the changes that he's made. Because, Hedo used to have sex police.
Yes.
Or they give you a hard time for getting it on. Hedo used to have worse food, worse rooms, worse everything. And these guys came together and changed all that. They also added things to make it a little more sex forward.
Yeah. And let's check that though, because I mean it sounds like we're putting down the resort and what it used to be, but it's another testament to the spirit and the people, because we kept going back. They kept going back year after year, no matter how much it deteriorated, because of the relationship, the people, the staff, the environment.
Yeah. I mean, my first trip to Hedo was in 2001, and it was when things were starting to take a pitch downward. And I still loved it. I loved everything about it. Everything about it just felt so natural to me. And it helped me figure out who I was and what I wanted to be and how I wanted to live my life. And I credit, Hedo with that. And I credit John Gross with helping it stay that way. And he found Harry Lang, who's, the principal owner of Hedonism II today. And we thank him for that, as guests and as repeat offenders for Hedo. So, when we talk about travel agents, and there's a lot of really, really great travel agents out there, right? I mean, you've got Castaways, who's one of the biggest. You've got Topless Travel, who employ our friends Mark and Carly to go out and host for them. You've got the Dirty Pervs with Jason and Heather, who we love. And then, of course, our hometown Rachel's Rascals, who we love. These travel agents all kind of came after John Gross. Yes. They all came after the Fluffs. And when I say after, they might have been there first, but the Fluffs changed the way it was done.
Correct. They set the mold. They set the pace.
And by that, I mean, we're talking, Hedo. By the way, when you go to Hedo, if you've never been to Hedo, you haven't heard us talk about it before, you get a lot of stuff included. Water sports are included, all your food, all your drinks. It's an all-inclusive resort.
Yes.
And the entertainment staff does a great job, but that doesn't mean that you can't go above and beyond. And some of these travel agents do amazing things. They throw parties like the Fluffernutters Cock and Tail Party. That's the first time anybody ever did anything like that. That was their idea.
Yeah.
It's overdone at this point, but when you've been doing it for 20 some odd years, things get overdone.
People still get very excited about it because it's the kickoff to the week.
No, I'm talking about the car wash. That's what's overdone.
Oh, the car wash.
The cocktail party is not overdone because it's a kickoff. It's an opportunity to meet each other. But, people do neat spins on it. Like the Pervs do speed dating for lifestylers during their cocktail party.
They do.
So there's a lot of neat ways that these things get done. But it all started with the Fluffs and all started with John. So we're going to give this man the credit he's due. We're going to give him some time to talk to you guys and tell you a little bit about the Fluffs. And he's going to tell you how they bought Hedo and some of those stories, which I think this is a super cool story that nobody's told.
I have to agree. And again, another great conversation that I very much enjoyed being a part of. Yeah,
it was really neat, and if you ever get a chance to walk up and talk to John, he'll talk to anybody. Do it. Go up and talk to the guy. I don't blame him. If my story was this cool, I would love to talk about myself. And he does a great job of it. He tells a complete story. He still manages to weave in some humility there and some
brutally
honesty. It was a really, really fun interview to do. And we want to thank John for joining us on Casual Swinger. We think this was super cool. And then, part 3, which comes next week. Next week will be Harry Lang. So that's kind of exciting.
I'm very excited to sit down with Harry.
Yeah, so super neat. But hey, that's kind of it. We're just going to let you guys dig right into this interview. We want to keep this short and sweet this time. This is the story of John Gross and how they saved Hedo. And Mallory, feel free to tell folks how they can find us.
Awesome. Well, we'll be down in Jamaica, so definitely look for us on Twitter. We're playing What's Under My Hat, so feel free to participate, play along, and win some cool prizes. You can find us as Casual Swinger not only on Twitter, but Instagram, Facebook, SLS, SDC, and Cassidy. Send us your feedback and questions. Even if you just want to check in and see how our week's going, you can find us podcast at casualswinger.com. Send us a message, send us a note. And as always, casualswinger.com.
Awesome. This is your interview with John Gross from the Fluffernutters. Everybody, you've been listening to Casual Swinger. Welcome back, everybody, to Casual Swinger. I'm Mickey.
I'm Mallory.
And we have our special guest here, somebody that we think you guys are going to love hearing from, one Mr. John Gross from Unwind Travel. John, how are you today?
I'm good, Mickey and Mallory. Thank you for having me on Casual Swinger and taking the time out of the beautiful weather and the pool and hot tub at Hedo to give me
Yeah,
a
it's
shout-out.
this doesn't suck. We're not gonna lie.
No, but we greatly appreciate you taking out the time to join us today.
Taking out time twice, right? Because we
Yeah.
did this interview once before with John
It
back
was
in.
so beautiful.
It was a phenomenal interview that told a beautiful story, and I had a server snafu and lost his interview, and he graciously and so professionally opted to do this interview with us again.
Absolutely, testament to the man.
Yeah, so we really can't thank this man enough. John, it's funny. You mentioned, we're down here at Hedo right now, and we're talking about you. We saw Howard Herenstein yesterday, who this episode, this is the second part of a 3-part series on a living history of Hedonism II.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw Howard, and he mentioned you, said you just left, and we missed you. We saw Sherilyn. She's like, you just missed John. We saw Harry. Hey, you just missed John. You're a celebrity around here, man.
Yeah, it was time. It was time for me to come back to this gorgeous weather in Manchester, New Hampshire, where it's snowing and icy and cold.
Does it ever get old coming back
But,
here? How many times have you been to Hedo?
Oh my God! I've tried to figure that out. I know not as much as Howard. I mean, Howard started way back when it was Negril Beach, so he's probably in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I came once in '85. Well, at least to Hedo. And once in '87, and then in the '90s, I was there. The first half of the '90s, like once a year. Then I started coming twice a year. It's funny. Came once a year and realized that a year is just too long. So twice a year made things pretty good because every 6 months, you come home from a trip, you're ready to go. You already think about the next one. And then around the end of the century, I started doing groups. They were called Hedo Homes to start with, and then became Fluffernutters. And, of course, Fluffers now does, I think, 8 trips a year. And so far, I haven't missed one. So I don't know how many. Then when I was CEO, I was there for meetings at least once a month on top of the trips. I think there was probably 2 or 3 years where I was there like 20 times or 20-something times. Almost as much as Harry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't go to the grocery store and walk past the marshmallow fluff and not think of you guys.
That's true. And the thing that I think about is
know.
how hard it is to get that shit off.
It is.
Like, you have to lick for
It's
hours.
delicious and sticky.
Well, yeah, it's pretty water soluble. Think about it, though. I used to use a chocolate that came with a brush. It's called Baby's chocolate from like West Germany or something, and it just didn't make beautiful pictures. When someone picks their head
It's
up
brown.
and they've been like licking chocolate or something.
It looks like they're covered in shit.
Yeah.
The little white, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the little white fluff, running off of some girl's side of her mouth is kind of sexy, actually.
Yeah,
I have
it's
to
kind of
agree.
hot. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to cover here, but I really want to get a picture of the man. So we talked a little bit before you came on about what we feel really happened here. And we'll reiterate that we feel like there's one person that deserves a lot of credit for saving Hedo, saving home.
Mm-hmm.
That this place wouldn't be here today if somebody hadn't had the entrepreneurial balls to step up and put a group together to save this place from what was coming. So
Yeah,
we want to talk about that a little bit today.
And the creative foresight, right?
Yeah, because it did take creativity. It took, you had to see the potential for what this place could be. 90 acres of perversion was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Super clubs had wrung all the money out of its cash cow. You were saying?
Yeah, that's true. In the 2000 to 2010, 11, 12, I had built a large following that couldn't go anywhere else really. I mean, the resort in Mexico only had like 109 rooms, and if Hedo went out of business, I don't know what I would have done. I mean, I was throwing some parties at the Playboy Mansion and rehab and so forth, but most of it was Hedo. Like, we're Hedo people. So if Hedo became a family resort, my life as I knew it would have been over. And I ran a computer company and I was involved in a whole bunch of other things. But the best time of my life every year was going down to Hedo. It was, if you haven't been there, if you're a listener and you haven't been, you really, no matter how much we put it in words, until you actually experience it, you just have no idea how it changes your life. It changes your DNA. I think you can go to Hedo once and never go back. But if you go twice, you're hooked. It's as bad as any drug you can possibly take.
It really does, and I want to dig in a little bit. So I've got some questions for you, and I think, because we thought about this a lot. We met you on a fluff trip.
We did.
We
Our
came on our
honeymoon.
honeymoon 4 years ago today. We came on our honeymoon with you.
Wow.
Yeah, this is our friend-iversary.
This is our friend-iversary with you, John.
Happy friend anniversary.
That's right. Happy friend-iversary to you, sir. But, when I first met you, we were in the hot tub and you were telling me about Grolin Computer. And then I got to know you better and we learned about Unwind Travel and the Fluffernutters, and then you became Hedonism CEO. So tell our listeners, what are you? Are you a geek? Are you a travel agent? Are you a CEO? Are you a swinger? How do you describe yourself if somebody says who are you?
Jeez. I don't think I define as any one thing. I think all of those things are probably right. I'm a guy who likes to have a good time, and I'm a guy who likes to live life to its fullest. There's a lot of people who sacrifice living life for the future, and some people get there, some people don't. I don't have the good fortune of having Harry's kind of money, so I have to, live life as I can. I think most of us do. I think anybody who goes to Hedo for a week, what kind of person are they? They have this and that. They could be anybody, but there's somebody who's looking to have a good time. Who's got an uninhibited mind, wants to experiment, wants to just have the fantasy kind of things. I made some money, by pure luck in the 90s with my computer company. And when you have a little bit of money and you have an amazing wife and you have 2 good kids, some of the other fantasy things are like, I also get those? And, here I am going to Hedo. And, for those who, you can't see me because it's on the radio now, but I'm a short guy who looks a little bit like Danny DeVito, or a lot like Danny DeVito. When I go in a singles bar, most women are looking over my head at everybody else around me. At Hedo, I can be myself and apply my personality and some of my skills and actually do pretty well. It's interesting. Women who go to Hedo will tell me that they never feel as beautiful as when they're at Hedo. The men are so appreciative of all the women that are there, especially the significant others or the spouses of that woman. A lot of couples go because it reignites their marriage. It gives them another sense of reconnection. There's a lot of sexuality and sensuality, but a lot of it just reflects back on the couple themselves. A lot of people go and they watch or they are around it and it stimulates them, and they go back and they have tremendous sex that they might not have had for years because they're worried about fitting in before the kids, knock on the door or whatever it is. One has to be somewhere and they're too tired. Whatever it is.
Amen.
You're at Hedo. You're in a place for a week, right? You're in a place for a week with unlimited alcohol, only adults, no children crying. Everybody's got an open mind. You may not want to fuck everybody who's there, but you sort of, if intercourse means conversation, then you definitely have intercourse with a lot of people.
I love that analogy, and I have to agree with you on so many fronts. No, don't apologize. But I go home every time after a trip to Hedo and feel so good about myself. It's a very positive environment to be in, especially as a female, because you do get that constant, affirmation. You have that opportunity to connect with your significant other that you're there with, and there's no bullshit involved. There's no work, there's no kids, there's no responsibilities that you're tied to. And it's just, you don't really know until you go. And we constantly encourage people to, at least try it. If you've never been, at least try, because, we've taken away so many positive experiences.
It translates into definite confidence. Yeah, it translates into definite confidence for women especially. And that goes a long, long way. It's funny because everybody thinks you're going to go there, it's a big orgy and this and that. It really is. I mean, it could be if you wanted it to be, I guess, but that's not the prevalent reason people go. Mm-mm. They go, I'm sure, I'm not Harry.
Howard?
I'm sure Howard is very clear on that too, yeah. So, let me just give you like fluffernutters. You asked me, I never answered it. We were laying around the cool tub, the real low one by the caves, and we needed a name for our group, and we were trying to think of something that didn't say swinger on it because we didn't want like swinger on our hat, and we didn't want like lifestyle on our shirt because we wanted people to be able to wear our logo and wear our stuff, and those who know and those who don't. So a fluffernutter kind of sounds like sounds like a fluffer, which for those who don't know is the girl who gets a guy hard before he, porno star, before he goes on scene. They have girls who are fluffers. So everybody who thinks, oh, it's a fluff note, it's got to be something pornographic. But for those who don't know, that means you're probably not from New England. Marshmallow fluff, and I don't mean marshmallow cream, but marshmallow fluff, which is, a mark owned by the jerky company. There were two guys in the Depression that sold marshmallow fluff door to door. And that became a company. There's even a fluff event every year in September in Somerville, Mass. And we wanted a name that was sexy. We love marshmallow fluff. I mean, their sales go up every time we do a trip, and they probably, all the managers probably take all kinds of credit for, their new advertising plan or whatever it is. But the truth is, it's my guys, buying the fluff to bring to Hedo. For under $1. You can have a jar of fun. And so that's why we chose Fluffernutter. It looks good. The logo is just a couple with palm trees and it says Fluffernutters on it. So that's why Fluffernutters exist.
And we actually have some swag with our names on it with the Fluffernutters logo.
Absolutely, we do. And the namesake, speaks volumes, especially in this environment. And you just talked about the history of the name in and of itself. But let's talk about the group, like how it actually came to be. I mean, you were coming here, you said you started in the 80s, and in the 90s it came to fruition. How has that transitioned from then to now?
Well, what's interesting about us is a lot of the other groups or travel agents that book Hedo, they're just traveling. So that's what they do. If you want to go on a cruise, they'll put you on a cruise. If you want to go, to Europe, they'll put you to Europe. Some of them do adult stuff, but they do all kinds of adult stuff. They don't care, they don't care whether it's Hedo or someplace else. We were never that way. We never were a travel agency. I was a computer guy, and I was a plumbing salesman before that. The agency only came into being because I needed an agency to have the bonding and to have the IATN number and the stuff you need to really sell travel and do it legally and ethically. So we never advertise. You don't see we don't pop up. Some of the guys are really good. Some of the group leaders are really good at, God forbid you go to any adult site, their ad for booking is going to follow you everywhere. I'm a computer guy. I could do that, but I've chosen purposely to let people bring people in. So I would say 90% of our membership is because they were referred to by somebody else. We have one couple that comes. They tell 5 of their friends. Their 5 friends come. That one couple might leave 3-4 years later, but those are the 5 that have spawned 25 and so forth. And I think as far as total log-ons and on the Fluffernutter site, I think we're at 30,000 people that are technically members, but we really only truly have probably 4,000 or 5,000 that are active members. But that's still quite a few.
Yeah, that's quite a few people. I mean, that's when you got 4,000 or 5,000 people, and you think about it. This resort is 288 rooms. You can fill 288 rooms. You guys have done quite a few takeovers in the history of not only Hedo but the history of the Fluffs, right?
Yeah, 280 rooms. It was us and one other group that really could fill the place back in the mid days. What happened was the resort got to the point where Super Clubs was just trying to cash in. The Issa family really is nowhere on the island anymore. They own a property in the Bahamas, and at one point they just shut off. The money all went to Florida, and everything had to be requested. So it wasn't like the resort could keep the profits that they were generating. And they were generating profits. In fact, it's the first resort. The profits from Hedonism is what bought Grand Lido and all the other hotels. And Johnny did a nice job designing the resort. He's proud of a lot of things. And the resort was in such bad shape that I swear to God, Kevin will tell you that towards the end, there was one week where he had to go in the casino machines to take the coins out to go buy bread. Or yeast to make bread.
Are you kidding?
The resort was running out of even rum. No, I'm not kidding. The resort was running out of rum. And there was a point where we brought our own alcohol in. We had Jeffrey, the manager, actually buy alcohol for us. So we had flavored vodkas. We put our label on it so everyone knew that the maker's mark came from us. And even when they had that stuff, it was one bottle and it was gone. And then I heard in 2012 that basically the bank was going to control the mortgage, and they had somebody who owned a middle class or less type family resort in Port Antonio, and they were setting up this guy to buy the property.
Oh, that must have been
And at that
terrifying
point, it
in
was
so many
okay.
aspects.
Well, I was very concerned for the people who work there. You know, when you go to Hedo, it's like no other hotel. You will fall in love with one of the staff. Everybody has their favorite bartender.
We do every time. It's somebody new every time.
Waiter or wait. They're all saying, you know, the Jamaicans just have it. It's the greatest island for. I mean, I travel a lot. I've been through the whole Caribbean, Mexico, and so forth. The Jamaicans really know how to connect, especially in a place like Hedo. They get it. They understand what we want, and they truly become, you know, interested in you. And they become, when you go back, you know, I know that most of the families of the people, I was worried about everybody besides my group. And so it was time to put a group together. And I had maybe 3 or 4 people that had the money, but only a couple that were serious. One guy was a Brazilian guy, you know, multi-billionaire kind of guy. And then there's Harry. And Harry was the number 2 guy or so at Fidelity. He was certainly the top, you know, tier. He ran the largest fund in the world, the Magellan Fund, in the 80s and 90s. And Harry had partied with me for years. Of course, we keep that kind of stuff quiet in those days. Now it's so out there, I don't mind mentioning his name. But, you know, Harry helped. I remember once he wrote a check from his, you know, his charity fund that he had, trust fund or whatever it was for charities. And he wrote a check once at a Playboy party for, I think, $7,500 or $8,000. The year before, he had lost the auction to paint a Playboy model, and he was determined not to lose it that year. So he's a guy, probably the only liberal that ever worked for the company. I mean, that we're a top-tier person. And Harry is a genuinely nice guy who cares about people. He's so unusual for a guy of his kind of money. He takes the bus. You know, I flew in, and he was like, "What are you flying in for?" The bus. And I'm like, "Well, Harry, I flew in before I became part of the ownership group. You know, I wasn't changing anything." He is, he's truly what he is. He's truly a really good guy. And
I have to agree.
He was the perfect one. He was the perfect guy to bring into the deal. We had a margarita in the pool one day, and he said, "You know, I think I could buy this place. I'm going to retire soon." And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, what do you mean, what do you want? Well, I mean, you want a flat amount of money, you want this, that. I said, well, a percentage. He goes, what percentage would you like? Can you imagine having to come up with your own number, like what percentage? I didn't know what to say.
That'd be terrifying.
I gave a percentage I was just thrilled that the resort would stay open, to be honest with you. And then I said I'd like to be the CEO. I'd be the CEO for a few years, and that might be kind of fun, you know. So I went to my lawyers and started negotiating. I actually went to Muna, who's the Issa's daughter, really cool girl. And I said to her, look, you got to help me out here because you know how much I love Hedo. I mean, I had won a bunch of awards for being the number 1, you know, guy there and so on. And the people knew me. They knew how much I cared. We had started a scholarship fund, and we had paid for the first year of high school for all the children and grandchildren. We had helped the guy. We saved the guy's life by getting a life-saving operation. We had done a ton of stuff as a group, as club members. And I said to Muna, get me in to talk to your father, and what I'll do is we'll bring this resort back to what it was in its glory days, and he'll be proud of it. And I'll tell you what, we'll leave him with a piece of the resort. We'll leave you with 10% of the resort or something as part of the deal, so you still have your fingers in it to some degree. At least, you know, the valuation as it goes up. And she did, and I tried to get a meeting with the vice president of the bank, who was a female, which in Jamaica is, you can imagine
common.
How tough she was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And she would not even hear me. I'm telling you, she wouldn't even return my calls. And then I got Harry on board. And once they saw Harry Lang, and they realized that he's probably worth more than the bank in Jamaica, all of a sudden the doors open. We have a meeting. You know, I'm invisible, and all the bankers are coming in to give him the card. Literally, they must have timed it. Like, one guy comes in, thank you very much. 10 minutes later, another guy comes in. They all introduce themselves, and luckily we had Harry because he's a good guy. He was concerned about how the employees are going to get treated, and he wanted to change the way employees were treated. He did some really cool stuff. But I will say this. As the deal was coming we were supposed to close the first time, and Harry actually walked out of the deal that day. he said his I think his son or someone in his family had talked him out of that it wasn't a good investment. And what I had promised Harry is, I said, Harry, you won't lose money on this investment, but you probably won't make money either. If you're doing this to make money, you can put your money elsewhere because it's really probably not a great investment. It's definitely highly risky. I said, but it will change your life. You will become.
Pretty sure it has.
You'll be fucking girls. I mean, he's fucked more girls since he's been a dealer. I'm telling you, I bet you 1,000 times more than his combined life before then. And I might be short at this point.
Yeah, to
really
say he's
changed.
prolific is an understatement. Like, he is literally Mr. Hedo. Like, Mr. Yeah.
He is. We saw him last night, and
chief.
he's like, I think there's 4 girls waiting in my room for me. And that sounds misogynistic, but it's not, because they love him and he loves them back. He's a wonderful person, and they're having fun, and it's consensual, and it's amazing.
And he's very much a giver, like, in a lot of aspects. He does care about people. He does get joy out of seeing other people happy. And in his own right, he enjoys being happy.
Yeah,
and
he's just
exuding
exuding happiness out of every pore, and you can't blame him for it, I don't think.
And and the funny thing is, I said to him, look, you're buying look. How old are you? I think it was 62 at the time. I said, you've been, when you work for Fidelity, they watch everything. They know everything. Mm-hmm. They did his taxes for him, everything. Even though he had money, you really couldn't do much with it. Now he can live the rest of his life. I said, that's what you're buying. He's got plenty of money. What if you break even and you lose a little bit of money on this thing? It's not going to change the way you live, but being the owner of Hedo will. And of course, eventually he agreed with me. He walked out, and there was a week. It was like the most somber week. It was amazing. Like, I was on my way to the closing, and I got a call from Kevin, who's the other partner. I think he's now considered an equity partner. I think they changed the way things are, but he said, John, the game's over. Harry's in the office trying to get his $1 million deposit back or whatever it was. Just come to the hotel. And I went there, and it was so somber. We went to the bank that day. It was so somber. It was like a funeral. And then, like 2 weeks later, after I recrunched the numbers and got Harry to agree to come back, and we did. We barely made the closing, but we made it. The difference was it was so funny. It would have been funny to have a split screen and see both rooms at the same time. So it turned out to be a good time. And, I will say this. I went through a hard time. I was CEO for like 3 years. I went through a hard time. The resort went through some hard times. They lost a very large lawsuit, had to shut down the U.S. presence. And I found out that I wasn't that happy being the CEO. I mean, it was changed the way I went. I like being the head of Fluffernuts, having a good time and causing trouble and good trouble.
Absolutely. Your role, you did a total 180 on that. Like, because all that responsibility and the investment in it.
I got out of it.
Yeah. I had been tough.
And, Harry was nice enough to pay me quite a bit more, not a small amount, but quite a bit more than what my shares were actually worth at the time. So I have nothing but good to say about him, but I will say this, those in the know that it was really my efforts that set the resort in the direction that it's going in now. Harry's done an amazing job. He's put a lot of money into it. He hasn't taken any money out. Not that he has to, but he's invested all the profits so that we're benefiting. When you go to Hedo and you pay the new rate, which is a little bit higher now, you're getting back every penny because there's no resort you're going to go to, none, where you go to the bar at the pool and you can get Patron and Maker's Mark and Ciroc and Grey Goose. That stuff is at the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
That's.
I mean, keep in mind, it's the water sports are included. Your food is included. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can take out a kayak, a catamaran. You can go on snorkeling cruises. All of it's included.
There's no tipping required or expected because, let's face it, if you're naked, wherever you're going to pull a tip out of, no one's going to really want to take it from you, really. So, right?
So John, Mallory and I are of the opinion, and we'll say this openly, we've said it before, we'll say it one more time, that if not for John Gross, Hedonism II doesn't exist today. You've talked about your friend Harry. You've talked about being in business with Harry. Go ahead.
That's true. I mean, that is absolutely 100% true because they were selling it to a non-lifestyle entity who was
Yeah, these
really
could have
not
been
going
at
to
like a
invest.
couples or beaches. Yeah.
So from
So
obviously Casual Swinger and from all of our listeners and everybody that loves Hedo, thank you, number one. But I want to know, because we talk a lot about in our show and in the lifestyle, and because you're a lifestyler, I mean, you were one. I mean, as a matter of fact, I think there's an article written about you called the King of Swing. There was one time we came here and saw you, and they were filming a pilot for a TV show called The King of
Yes,
Swing
that
that
was
was
our
about
honeymoon.
you.
yeah,
And we
you're
saw
right.
you then.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
think that was that right. So, tell
Yeah,
me.
there was a reality show that they were going to shoot. They never got around to selling it. One guy, somebody who had an investor in it, kind of stole it, tried to sell it on their own, and they got shut down. And so it went haywire. But yeah, we did shoot a pilot with. I actually had Juliana and I had Christine with me, and who else?
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you had a
some real
bunch of
hotties
hot girls with
back
you. It didn't suck.
then.
Yeah, no.
But so tell me, one of the big themes we talk about. We just did a show recently on this, on fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. You and I come across FUD in our lines of business all the time, whether it's technology, whether it's lifestyle, whether it's travel. How did fear, uncertainty, and doubt play a part in the acquisition, the organization of this group? How did you overcome it? What was the driving factor that made you say, I don't care that I'm afraid. I don't care this could cost me my personal life, my professional life, my economic success. What was the thing that said, I'm going to do this no matter what? How did you overcome fear, uncertainty, and doubt? And how do you do it on a day-to-day basis in the lifestyle, right? You said you're a short guy that vaguely resembles Danny DeVito, yet here you are, throwing the party, and you got a beautiful girl waiting on you at home. So what's the secret?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I shake my head sometimes. I can't believe I have had the success that I've had. You have to believe. First of all, anything you do in life, you really, if you're passionate about it, if it's something that really is part of who you are, you're probably going to be successful because you're going to be happy every day going to work. So I didn't plan on being in the computer business, really. I was a salesman. I wanted to be a TV producer. I'm a Newhouse grad. I went to Syracuse University for broadcast journalism and so forth. And I just kind of fell into every one of the things I did. I didn't plan on turning fluffernutters into a business. It was a hobby. Most of the hobbies I've had that I've been passionate about, I found a way to make some money with it. And next thing you know, it's a business. And I try not to let it get to own me. I think every day I have fear. Because every day I'm dealing with, there's a lot of overhead in this business. There's a lot of competition in this business, like everybody else probably in every business. But I believe in myself. I figure I'm also pretty easygoing. So when I have a failure or things don't go my way, I just kind of, I kind of let it go. I don't let it eat me alive. I just keep going. My goal when I wake up in the morning is to smile and have a good time and, try to help some people. I spend a lot of time helping other people, and that's probably takes away from some of my focus. It's, you can't, if you're yourself, I will say this about women, if I may, men are very visual. If it's a gorgeous looking woman, boy, she could have a lot of bad personal traits or so forth. And most guys, unless they're amazingly good looking guys or amazingly successful guys, they'll overlook it if she shows interest because she's amazing looking. Women don't see it that way at all. Don't get me wrong. If a guy is totally a hunk, he's well hung or whatever, he's probably going to get fucked like crazy. Take Mel, for example. But
we just talked to him yesterday.
We just saw Mel yesterday.
He's probably getting 2 blowjobs right now at the pool. And he's a pro at it. He's a single guy. He's a pro at it. I think when it comes to women like to have a connection with men. And if you're a guy who kind of understands women and really can connect, a lot of guys, really are selfish when it comes to sex and when it comes to affection and when it comes to understanding, or they just don't have a high IQ on reading what a woman really wants. A lot of guys, that are maybe not, rock stars or movie stars, that understand. You see beautiful women with guys. What is she doing with him? My guess is he probably knows how to touch her buttons in the right places at the right time.
Amen.
And he probably fills a lot of her needs, emotional needs, or romantic needs, and so forth. I have learned a lot. This business, this lifestyle in my life has taught me a lot. I have confidence when it comes to intimacy and being alone with a woman, because I know there's certain things I know how to do and that I do that seem to be universally liked. But I think most of it is just connecting and knowing, look, when someone goes down on you, okay, it's basically the same thing. But the thing is, one guy is terrible, can't find the spot, doesn't zig when he should, doesn't zag when he should, just doesn't follow her mind, isn't understanding what she's, what the signals she's giving him. Another guy is unbelievable, and most people somewhere in between, but basically it's all the same action. It isn't like there's something that's so tremendously different. There's only maybe 100 different things, you can do or whatever it is. The question is, when do you do them, in what order, and how are they done, and how are you fucking with someone's mind? And mind fucking is, let's face it, isn't it? I mean, that is the ultimate organ to stimulate.
Yes.
So
it is.
It's the best
really
fuck in the world.
When you can get in somebody's mind space and lead with that.
Well, that's a secret to me.
It's the secret of sex in and of itself.
John, I got to tell you,
totally.
The last 3.5 minutes of audio are probably the best 3.5 minutes of audio we've ever had in Casual Swinger, because you covered a couple of things really quickly and succinctly. You talked about passion. You talked about intimacy. You talked about connecting. Right? And the last thing, which is probably the most important thing in the universe, is confidence. So those things, when you can put all of them together, it's not just the lifestyle you're going to be successful at. It's your life you're going to be successful at.
Well, it's funny because I have my haters, and my haters are people usually who don't really know me. They've heard some stories, or they've heard someone who doesn't like me say whatever. They haven't really met me or hung with me or spent time with me or allowed anything. The people who know me know that I only try to do good for people. I'm genuinely interested in all the people that travel with me, and I get to know everybody. Probably not as good as I used to be at it. In the early days, I took every phone call, and if someone was new and had never been, I'd spend 2 hours with them, talking about everything, their life, my life, why they're doing this, And so that when I finally met them, I kind of understood where they were as a couple, him, her, usually one or the other, because usually one of them's on the phone, me, not both. And it allows me to create the right energy. See, the whole idea of events is, and then believe me, every group in the world is copying my events. Some have come up with original stuff, but most people have copied most of the YMCAs and all that stuff.
Well, you did kind of set the cadence for that, though, especially with the groups, as far as the events and the games and like the overall structure of how a group is run. So that's not surprising.
Well, the thing is, why come on my week? You come on any week. And usually my big weeks are about $5 a night more money. So really, you can save money, certainly, and not book with me. The smaller weeks, I'm at the exact same price because no one's going to pay me. We have enough inventory in the big ones. But I take all the extra money and I invest it in unbelievable entertainment. You
really do. You add a lot of value adds.
Yeah. Spike Blake just came and he played one day at the pool and 2 days in the thing, and he was amazing. The energy was unbelievable. And I thought to myself, people who come to Hedo have a great week, but they don't know what an unbelievable week is until they've had a night in the piano bar that's packed with naked women, dancing on the piano, and Spike Blake playing. He's one of the top 3 dueling piano players in the country. He's out of Kansas City. He's pretty friggin' amazing. And, he comes every year with us. We fly a rock band down from Boston to play on the poolside in July. We have a big outside concert. We bring a sound in, and they have a party on Tuesday night, a glow party. They do a nice job with it, but they're not going to spend. We spend a ton of money. We had a big black light party with paint and video screens, and we bring in a special DJ, and we take a portion of our profit, because especially in the beginning, it was never a matter of making a profit. It was a matter of throwing a good party. So we took a good portion of our profits and invested it in, everything. We send out a box. And a lot of it is not just the events; it's how they're done and when they're done. There's a real art to doing this properly.
Sure, because you have to think about the time frame, right? And what people's level of comfort and like building up to the crescendo. And yeah, that makes sense.
Totally. How I compare a trip to Hedo is people say, what day should we come in? Well, people who are listening, the day to come in is Saturday. Because the truth is, imagine you're on a brand new cruise ship that has like 6,000 people. I don't know how many people they put today on a cruise ship, but let's say the cruise ship's leaving on Saturday. Everybody's walking around that first day, ooh, ah. They're picking out where they're going to hang in a bar, where they're going to sunbathe, so forth and so on. Now, if Wednesday I throw you on that ship, you're in the ooh, ah phase, and everybody else is already chilling. You're never going to catch up. Well, the evolution of a week at Hedo, because this is not a normal week. This is where you're going to meet friends for life, where you're really going to feel like you're part of something. People have the guts to go there, have a certain quality to them, and it's magnetic to each other. And what's going to happen is you're going to make friends that are immediate for life. But you need to meet them when they're in the same mode you're in. And what we do is we give newbies a different color hat, a different color shirt, so that we know they're newbies in our group, and we treat them a little bit differently. Plus, we book anybody. So if you're a single male and you're wearing a newbie hat, I don't vouch for you. You may be one. We have two rules in Fluff and Others. We don't care how old you are. We don't care how young you are. We don't care if you drink champagne or beer. I don't care if you're a doctor or a garbage man. It's funny. We have relationships between people who never would have met, but they happen to meet at Hedo, right?
In normal social circumstances, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have two rules, and we stick by them. Rule number one, no assholes. You can have an asshole, but you can't be one. If you're an asshole, you can come to Hedo. You can't wear my hat. And by that, we mean people who are miserable. People who treat the staff because they think they're American, or they think they're God's gift, and they think everybody should, those people just aren't part of my group. I mean, you got to be kind of a nice person. And the second rule is no drama. If you're a couple, especially, I know you have a lot of listeners, and it's a casual lifestyle thing. So there's probably people at different stages of the lifestyle, and you dream about going to Hedo. Everybody has their fantasy. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And everyone has their limits. Okay, we're going to do it together. We're not going to do it separate. Okay, you're not allowed to kiss them. Whatever it is, everybody has their rules. And it's so funny because the rules change over time. I call it a line in the sand. That line keeps moving. And I first
always does.
That's why it's sand and not cement.
I wouldn't get it. My first swing, I never was a swinger. I was a 27-year-old kid who I found a place that had nudity, and I kind of like, okay. And then for like 2 or 3 years, I used to wonder about the swingers. Hey, we'd sit around and kind of not make fun of them, but we'd be like intimidated by them, And we swung the first time was like totally by accident. Anyway, they, the thing is that I forget what I was saying now. Sorry, guys.
You're
okay.
good.
Hey,
You're good. There's so much to talk about when we're talking about your group, your basically your life here in the last 25 years or so, and the history of Hedo. There's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, I mean, we're asking you to sum up who you are and your entire life in 45 minutes. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Well, it's very important to make the chemistry right. And so we do certain parties that are certain days of the week. We do an orientation. Everything has a design to it to move people along to a comfort level. But we also, just like Hedo's very respectful, with Fluff and Others, we've been very, very careful. For example, we throw a cocktail party where we give away a lot of goods, which cost a lot of money. We have an auction for nice fashion and heavy-duty, crazy, amazingly good sex toys. And there are some people who just can't believe they're there. I mean, they got naked for the first time and they're there, and we respect them, and we certainly don't expect a lot from them. But what makes it nice is people can do what they want, because what it is the men get coupons, and the women are the only ones who can bid on the auction items. So the women have to get the coupons from the men. Now, if you're a new couple, it might be, oh, that girl's really hot, and my wife would love to be with her. So you call her over and you say, look, can I take a picture of the two of you together? I'll give you a coupon. Would you kiss my wife? I'll give you a coupon. Then there's the girl who just fucks blow off. She loves giving blowjobs, and here's her opportunity to use the friggin' auction as an excuse to suck, 5 guys that she thinks are fucking hunks that have huge dicks. And, you see it. You see the women like, oh, can I suck your dick? And, will you give me like 3 coupons? And then they use that as an excuse to get a pair of leather pants or a whip or something at the auction. Basically,
there's a lot of strategy involved.
I feel like I need coupons.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It allows people to do exactly what they want to do and no more. It's interesting.
Unbelievable. So,
and then
John, we've covered a lot of ground here, and this is, I mean, you're as dynamic a personality as has ever existed at Hedo, or anywhere else for that matter.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I feel like this is something we could probably talk for hours. Go ahead.
By the way, you do a great job yourself. I've seen you MC quite a few events, and you've got it. You got it.
He really does, doesn't he?
By the way.
Oh.
Yeah. That's high praise coming from you, man. So thank you.
You're a broadcaster. You're a broadcaster, and you're an old tech guy like me. So I guess it comes from the nerdiness. There's something about, we adapt a certain way, and we use our personality. And I've seen you. Your costumes are great, and your MCing is great. And if you ever did your own trip, you'd be fine. Anyway.
We'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah.
But, so you're a CEO. And I have a question that I really want to know the answer to from your perspective. You've been a president of a couple of different companies now, and I think about this kind of stuff. So just, I was a journalism minor. So it's funny that, we have that in common. But, and I think about, the world around us from a marketing perspective, a social media perspective, this ubiquitous pornography that we have around us. How does a place like Hedonism stay relevant when what they're selling ostensibly is available in the palm of your hand? How do they stay relevant? And as their former CEO, what do you think they have to do? I know they were talking about doing an expansion. How does this place stay here? 38 years that Howard was coming here, and he was a fluff, right? He was one of the first 12. So how 38 years from now, is Hedo going to be here? What changes, and how do they do it?
Wow.
Yeah, that's not an easy one.
Well, yeah, that's a tough one. I wish I had a couple to think about. But off the top of my head, what I would say is Hedo is not pornography. And it's not the sex you see on TV. It's sexual and it's sensual. But if anything, it is needed more now today. It is more relevant today than it ever was. There was hippies and there was love and our country is at each other's throat. Right, I mean, it is pretty bad. I mean, the amount of hate and the amount of let's put it this way. Let's pull out the hate stuff. I don't want to get into that. Just say the amount of anxiety that people have about the-day existence. People on Facebook are defriending each other because they have different political views, different racist views. I mean, there's so much going on. Here's an oasis. Here's a place that people need even more today than they've ever needed. You go there and you forget about the mainstream. Totally. You just spend a week being an adult kid. There's one day we throw 300 like 9-inch inflatable balls in the pool, and those balls go for like 2 hours. People hitting each other with them and throwing them. I look in that pool and it's like this 50-year-old men acting like 17-year-old boys, and they're all loving it. I'll tell you what, you don't do any big event that night because everybody goes to sleep early.
Everybody's hammered.
I have to agree with you, though. It's not. You don't come to Hedo and expect pornography. It's a level of intimacy and that equal playing ground that everyone's on. We're naked. We're here together. We're here to connect. We're here to have a great vacation, and it's available here, and it's so unique compared to any other experiences I've personally had.
Yeah, and John, you and I are we're older than Mallory, so do you remember Fantasy Island? Deplane,
yeah.
Back in the day, Ricardo Montalban.
I remember that. I mean, syndication, but it's okay.
So I think that's what a modern day Hedo is. It's a fantasy island where you can be anything you want to be. You can sing, you can tell jokes, you can be an MC if you're a technology guy.
Yeah, you can just watch from the background if that's what makes you happy.
Hedo is funny. Special.
It goes across age groups too. It's very interesting.
Yes.
People will call me and say, what age is the group that, that's the first question usually is, what age? And they're actually trying to find out. They're trying to find out really how attractive the group is to begin with. And it's very interesting because my February group is probably a little bit older. It's certainly older than like Young Swingers or one of those groups. But it is the most harmonious week. And the people are, for the most part, there's some extremes, but for the most part, the people are pretty good looking. I mean, it's a good looking crowd, but it's a crowd that you just love everybody because everybody's that's much more attractive because of the way they. Now, I have weeks with gorgeous, like the hottest crowd I have is in July. It's really hot. I mean, the crowd's smoking hot, but there's more drama that week, and it's very interesting. But the girl that travels with me she's only in her 20s, so she's in her young early 20s, and of course the first time she went, totally out of it.
That's kind
Sorry
of
about
hilarious.
that. I was just complimenting you, sir.
I will say, though, your group is definitely all-inclusive. We've run into fluffs, and not only here in Jamaica, but in our everyday lives, like in our travels and for work.
Yeah.
And
when we travel around the country doing stuff for Casual Swinger, we run into fluffs all over the place. Like, we know you guys. You guys came with the fluffs 4 years ago. Yes, we did.
Yeah. That's funny
because
the girl I'm with is very, very young, and the first time she went, it was totally out of her, realm. I mean, I used to have life experience, but I think she was maybe 20 or 21 at the time, and she's gone about 20 times now, and she's totally adapted to it. She loves the people and everything. She has a lot of friends. People. She missed this last trip because she has a family emergency, and people are asking about her. The staff's asking about her. She hula hoops and she sings when she's there and all. And people want to see her perform. And she's not out, going crazy with a bunch of people. She doesn't have to be. But people love having her around, and so there's kind of places for everybody. And the whole thing. I think my advice to people is, I would say if you're going to go to Hedo, don't go with any huge expectations that you're gonna have an unbelievably sexual time. And if you go with the right attitude, you probably will have an unbelievably sexual time.
Right. Well, this episode was important to us. It was important to us because we love Hedo. So. We respect the hell out of what you've done.
And we thank you for having the foresight and the guts to, come to the table and go, I want to solve this, and I think I know people who can help make that happen, and I want to be a part of that.
Well, I appreciate that. There was a lot of, in some ways, it's cost me some things in my personal life, but I know that there's so many thousands of people that are going to be happy and go to Hedo for a long time. I mean, Harry's done a really good job of making the place really beautiful, and he's still investing. He's still doing stuff. I might have done it a little bit differently on a few things, but I think he's done a great job. He's got the right attitude. He definitely understands the people. He understands Americans. He understands Jamaicans. Thank you for you guys. It's guys like you that are promoting. At least you're giving a place where people can come to that have an interest, they have a curiosity, they want to truly understand it, and not get the Howard Stern side of things, or whatever it is. Everybody kind of blows what the lifestyle is. It makes it look very seedy, and there's a lot of people who are lifestylers. I mean, they don't have.
Yeah, and anyone who doesn't understand it kind of wants to put it in a box, right? Because then it's controlled and they can understand it inside those parameters. And what it is, it's very fluid. It's whatever you make of it, and it's whoever you are.
Well, that's Hedo. In a nutshell, it's fluid. It's what you make of it,
and
right? Exactly. You can sit on the beach and talk to nobody and have a beautiful Caribbean vacation.
I know. What amazes me is the people who are very conservative in their life and their political views and their religious views and so forth, and they're still at Hedo. I don't know how they do it. I
got really stoned with a U.S. District Court judge on your trip 4 years ago. So,
honest to God, truth, I swear to God, I shouldn't even say this, but this actually happened. I saw a cantor give a rabbi a lap dance.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
One day I'm going to write a book. I swear to God, I am. I mean, I have the outline for it. Maybe one of these days I'll go look for a publisher. But the first chapter is going to be the worst, most embarrassing moments of my life in this lifestyle. And there are some stories that people are going to laugh. Because, you don't want to hear about my Sibian stuff. You don't want to hear about, my successes and all of these. I think what people want to really hear about is they want to put themselves in my shoes when I've been in a situation that has really, really been fucked up.
And when it really went wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, though, because you have to look back and laugh.
Well, come on. Our most popular episodes are fail episodes, when we talk about things that went totally wrong.
But I don't want to change anything about those at the same time. That's
part
of who we are.
You know what? Call me sometime, and I will give you 5 stories that I guarantee your listeners will laugh their asses off on.
All right, you got a rain check, sir.
John, let's do a follow-up to this, because what I want to do is I want to do another show with you sometime and just talk fluffs.
Yes.
because this was more about the saving of the resort and what the resort is all about and who you are all about as a Hedo CEO. But I want to give the Fluffs their time. You know, you have a lot of Fluffs that are listeners of Casual Swinger, like Rico and Trixie, who just messaged us the other day, right? There's and they didn't mind us using their names. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got lots of Fluffs that listen and chime in and say hi. And because, you know what? They're fantastic people, like you said. And so I want to give the Fluffs their due. So let's do this again and just talk Fluffs sometime. And you can save those stories and tell our listeners yourself if you don't mind.
That's fine. Sounds great.
Awesome.
Well, hey, I hope this was fun for you because it was fun for us. And this was part 2 of A Living History of Hedonism II. This is the Winds of Change. This is the guy that brought change to Hedonism II, and his name is John Gross. And John, we thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for your courtesy in doing this again since we screwed up and lost our audio.
It was my pleasure, and now you guys have to go out and drink some tequila and listen. And I assume you're going to be on the microphone this afternoon.
Yes, sir.
You know me, sir. I'll be out there every day wearing my hats.
Yeah, isn't like, don't you guys do like a dildo something or other? A jerk off dildo contest? I know one of the contests I've seen you guys do. It's a lot of fun.
There's several.
We do a game called Marshmallow. We do the game called Marshmallow My Ass. You'll have to ask me about that next time we talk.
Okay. Oh my God.
All right.
You guys love it. Well, hey, John, thank you very much. We're gonna call this thing closed, but thank you very much. This was A Living History, Hedonism II. Everybody, you've been listening to Casual Swinger.
Welcome back to Casual Swinger, guys. Mallory here.
And Mickey.
And about this time, I'm half in the bag on the beach in Jamaica.
I'm just trying to get her to blow me.
There's no try. Just do.
Do or do not. There is no try. Hey, guys, that was John Gross from the Fluffer Nutters. Hopefully you enjoyed that interview. That was a lot of fun for us to do, and I feel like we really gave you guys a piece of something that I don't really know that's out there, how it happened, how that acquisition happened, and ultimately how our friend Harry Lang came into power. So we're looking forward to introducing you in the next episode to the Hedonist in Chief. So that should be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that one.
But that's going to be a wrap for this episode. We'll catch you again here in about a week with the third piece of A Living History of Hedonism II.
All right, guys. Take care.
We'll talk to you soon.